this is part of the DotaBro.com League series. They have games going pretty much 24/7, so jumping into a decently high-level game. The rating on these two teams are both above 1550, so at least they've won a handful of games themselves, and that'll be pretty cool. So on the Radiant, it looks like we have the Serial Killers, and on the Dire, we are looking at OutPicked. So those two teams, I obviously don't know too much about them myself, but we'll get on into it, and it should be a lot of interesting stuff going on.
I gotta say, I have to give the logo war out to OutPicked, because that is an adorable little sniper they got there, and I think that's an axe. And is that a Huskar in the middle?
Yep, that's exactly right.
That's perfect,
awesome.
Man. It's almost like I play this game.
Sure enough.
Anyway, so it looks like an Undying and a Nyx band coming out. I think these are pretty standard. This actually, you can't read too much from these two bands since they're like pretty universal at this point. But I'd have to say, if you're banning out these heroes, they're some of the more powerful offensive tri-heroes. So while we can't really make any huge claims right now, given that they are just in general banned material, I would say that both teams might be looking to go and protect their safe lane farmer instead of going for an offensive tri lane themselves.
Yeah, definitely.
So only enough Darkseer slips through. Same with the Magnus.
Exactly what I was thinking. There's a lot of AoE initiators that have a lot of potential in this current meta, and pretty much if they're looking at banning all these supportive heroes, Jakiro has kind of fallen out of favor, but just taking off the Undying and the Nyx, they're going to let the Magnus through, and that could really, really develop a high damage AoE composition, maybe based around either a Sven or a Shadow Fiend. We have seen Gyrocopter and Luna take the role there as well, but just kind of really just setting them up to do whatever they need to. Magnus really isn't majorly an offlaner anymore. He can be played as a solo mid. Haven't really seen him played supportively, as he does need experience to get that polarity up as rapidly as possible, but do you think he's viable in a 1v3 situation suicide lane, or do you think he really needs to resort to 1v1?
It really depends on what kind of heroes they have. I don't think he can go against, if they have any sort of lockdown, or if they're like, if there's more than one stun, I don't think Magnus can really do it. But, Shockwave and Skewer are just really good spells. So I think if you're against kind of like a soft stun like a Rubik, and then maybe, a Shadow Demon and a Faceless, that would be really difficult, but you could probably do it because they just can't keep you down for long enough. And if you go boots first and pull restoratives or something, if your team can pull restoratives on you and you go boots first, kind of like, they used to do solo safe lane Pugma like that, right? They just pull restoratives, go boots first, and just kind of keep the wave pushed out and just get some experience, right? So it's doable, but not like something you'd really have to plan for, and you can only do in the right situation.
Yeah, exactly. It's not really going to be end-all be-all, very survivable here. I mean, the Skewer isn't that bad off, but you might actually have to rank it a little bit faster than your Shockwave if you're wanting to try to survive because of that reduced range back to what it used to be. And they're picking up some interesting picks on the Serial Killer. Darkseer and Lone Druid coming on out. Both those heroes generally preferring a solo lane. Darkseer can 1v3 very well with the Surge potential, as well as some nice long-range Ion Shell CS, but Lone Druid as well, both of them can go in the jungle, but generally speaking are considered much more powerful heroes on the lane. And in both senses, they really prefer to get that solo HP, so it's going to be a little bit awkward how they want to lane this. I'm thinking one of them might just have to go jungle, otherwise it's going to be very difficult to really get the most out of either hero as far as experience and gold gain goes. I mean, Lone Druid is great in the sense that he's practically two heroes, a lot of potential to last hit, deny, harass, whatever you need to do with that bear, and with that control the lane very, very effectively. But they let a couple of really, really solid picks go on out. The Bounty Hunter and the Rubik, both of them extremely powerful. The Rubik less so against Darkseer or Lone Druid. I mean, there's nothing really amazing to steal there, but the Bounty Hunter just adding so much with that track of versatility and adding a lot of momentum when he starts moving around, ganking up, and getting a lot of gold on the board for their team. So they might be able to pick up a very item-dependent carry for their number 4 and 5 picks.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how they're going to end up laning this, because we're basically now committed to seeing a Magnus mid, because I can't imagine them putting the Bounty Hunter anywhere else. With the Magnus mid, I don't think that, Magnus fares too well against a Lone Druid solo mid, so you might be seeing something like that, and then, but when they picked up the Beastmaster, it really confused me. We might actually just see the Darkseer go Woods, Beastmaster long lane, and they just, focus on farming up the Lone Druid mid, which I think LGD China has made pretty popular these days. Lone Druid is actually a very competent mid, just because, as you said, he's got two heroes, and against another melee hero like a Magnus, he fares perfectly fine. He just has a lot of damage between him and the bear. Beyond that, the question is, they've got 3 melee heroes and they're against a Magnus, so I'm not exactly too thrilled with their lineup. it just seems that they're putting themselves in risk for, Magnus to ulti them. Maybe, like, if they pick up a Chrono, right, is going to be pretty rough. Their positioning is going to have to be fairly immaculate. They ban out the Nakes, though, which is going to really protect their Lone Druid. I like the Shadow Demon ban as well, because Shadow Demon just gives you that little bit of protection from the Bounty Hunter, from the Magnus, that they don't really want to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to help them out a lot. I'm surprised they banned out the Enigma, though. I mean, Darkseer Enigma, don't get me wrong, is a very strong combo, but that Rubik can cancel it so effectively. The Shuriken, long range enough, will be able to cancel it out as well. So, unless there's some amazing coordination with like a Beastmaster or the Rubik while the Black Hole is going on, it's not that big of a deal to have an Enigma on the field at this stage in the game. However, I do agree with you on the other bans, especially the Shadow Demon. That Disruption can completely shut down a big surprise gank, surprise attack from behind with that Bounty Hunter, so that's going to be able to lock that down. But I'm just really curious how Serial Killer want to run this. Like you said, the solo mid Lone Druid would be very favorable 1v1 up against the Magnus, but other than that, I'm thinking they have to like maybe long lane the Beastmaster and Darkseer goes in the jungle or something like that. I mean, it's going to be very awkward one way or another. It's not going to be traditional lanes, in my mind at least, but they do have the option to stack up on the Ancient Creeps for Beastmaster and get him some independent farm through that route there. But how do you feel about this Leshrac pick? Do you think that rounds out their lineup pretty effectively?
It definitely does, and also, like, if the Serial Killers, luckily in this case they have last pick, so they can go and save their carry for them, but there is a chance that OutPicked can just go into, an offensive tri-lane between the Rubik and the Leshrac. They have a lot of nuking power, a lot of stuns, and they're probably not going to be a tri-lane on the Serial Killers. They don't really have the lineup for it. That's another reason I feel the Enigma ban was a little bit strange, because, like, there's no way that Serial Killers could, like, fit an Enigma in this team. But, if they go offensive tri-lane and just, like, really try to go and push the advantage when the Bounty Hunter hits 6, just, get Dala and then end the game, before this. What are they doing? I have no... Okay, I don't get it.
Oppo jungle style. Well, we've got...
they should just pick a Clinks now, okay? Like,
yeah.
What is...
The only thing I can think of is the fact that they could actually do some decent push with the Lone Druid's Bear. The Spirit Bear combined with Chen's Creeps as a lot of raw HP. Along with that, if the Beastmaster goes for a little bit in his early aura, the attack speed will help to bring them down very rapidly. So if you can get that Lone Druid up to level 7, get that maxed out Bear, get a couple of creeps on the Chen to push down on towers, they could knock on those doors pretty rapidly. And right now, Keep It Light has not been a pick, so Leshrac not nearly as good for counter pushing. His lightning is decent, but other than that, we're going to really rely on Rubik Fade Bolt to try to bring that down. One thing is Bounty Hunter. His potential as far as surviving, gaining experience, and changing momentum through ganks is very effective, but as far as a counter pusher, that is one thing he is absolutely not. He has absolutely no counter push momentum, no AoE abilities of any sort, and with that, if he's just sitting underneath the tower in Shadow Walk, they can, send out a couple of neutrals, send out a Spear Bear, and knock down that tower in no time at all. So they might be going for kind of a little bit of a, like a 15-minute win here with the Lone Druid Chen. It'd be interesting, but I'm expecting that they're not going to go for a hard carry alongside the Lone Druid. Most of the time, Lone Druid is played as like a number 2, and he farms it very effectively, but he's not really the end-all be-all number 1 carry. But in this lineup here, I'm thinking that they might want to put out some early pressure, get Darkseer some solo levels, get some aura on the Beastmaster, and knock down some towers.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, though, I feel if they go on offensive tri-lane with this gyrocopter, I don't think OutPicked can really lose, because basically, if Serial Killers doesn't get some momentum by pushing down towers, there's not enough gold on the map for all these heroes to farm efficiently. Like, the Lone Druid will eat up, a lane and a half, basically. The Beastmaster, maybe you can just put him on Ancient Patrol. Like, if the Beastmaster is, like, solely doing Ancients, and they long lane the Darkseer, but then they can't really push bot. I just feel there's a lot of heroes that need like very specific things to work out for them, and if the Chen doesn't get like any early momentum, they can't do much. If the Lone Druid doesn't get, what are they? I guess I don't know how to play Dota.
Well, 50-50, either Serial Killers or you, but it's a little awkward there. Pretty much, I would say, other than Chen, every single one of these heroes benefits so much from solo experience, and that's not what they're going to be provided based on their lineup here. Pretty much, they're going to have some of them that are going to be forced to come to a dual lane, and I don't know if that's going to be very optimal for what they're looking for there. I mean, I don't really even see what Bane would add to the lineup other than a nice disable for Bounty Hunter or Gyrocopter. I mean, it's a nice pickup, but in this setting, what is he adding that a Beastmaster isn't already?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm not going to comment too much on the serial killer's lineup right now because I have no idea how it's supposed to work. And I'm going to assume if you're picking up this spread of heroes and you've, won a couple games, you have a plan. So I'm just going to go on the assumption that, CHK has a plan and let them kind of show what it is. Looking at the items, it looks like the Beastmaster is going to be going mid, like he's got that bottle rush set up. Or let's actually introduce the players real fast. On the Beastmaster, we have Bashruk. On the Darkseer, it's IR Sirius Cat. The Nikola Tachev is going to be piloting the Bane. Our number 1, probably, the Lone Druid player, is Horosho, yeah. And we got Slark on the Chen.
Cool.
You want to take the dart?
Yeah, definitely. Over here we do have a quick pause coming out for a minute, but let's say Habano Gavno. I'm not really good at that dialect there, but I'm going to go with Habano Gavno on the Rubik. Then we do have Aberg on the Magnus.
Does this stream have delay, friend?
2-minute delay. So Kervord on the Leshrac. Then we do have Follow Me on the Gyrocopter. And then we do have a Russian name on Bounty Hunter. I'm not, unless you're very well.
Oh, you know me. That is Bounty Hunter. It actually just says Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, obviously. So yeah, Zappa Bach. I have no idea.
Any idea why it isn't 6 minutes?
Anywho, but yeah, so these lineups are going to be a little bit interesting. We do have OutPicked having a more standard lineup, I guess you could call it, with the with the fact that they do have, a primary carry with the Gyrocopter. If he gets farmed up very effectively, he can do a heck of a lot of damage to that flat cannon and AoE, which works perfectly with the initiation coming out of Magnus, and a nice follow-up stun, though, Split Earth coming out of Leshrac. In fact, if you add in the AoE factor on Rubik's Telekinesis, that is a whopping amount of disable right there. I mean, that's 2.25 seconds on, actually 1.75, I think. I might have missed.
Yeah, I think the big problem for Dire is at level 11, they'll kill people so fast they won't be able to get enough tracks on them. Like, I seriously don't see how, like, if they get to a point where the Gyrocopter's farmed, they're going to lose team fights. It's really going to come down to, again, like, if the Chen gets enough early towers and they're able to do some, like, crazy push and be, like, 3,000 gold ahead, maybe, like, 7-8 minutes in the game, they might be able to do something. But, like, even that's, like, I'm not even sure that will be enough, because the fact you're fighting against, a reverse polarity, the fact you're fighting against, a Gyrocopter, who is, one of the hardest carries in Dota right now, I feel like teams don't give that enough respect. Because, and these days they are, like, definitely we're saying Gyrocopter can become a, higher pick. Since he does a lot of damage in the early game, you kind of forget that he scales into this absolute monster late game. Once he gets, like, a Manta +1 item, right? He's going to be able to just, like, shred through the team. What is this, Bane doesn't have great strength growth, neither does Chen. Beastmasters, like, Lone Druid and the Darkseer are all okay, right? But they don't do enough damage to go and, like, clear this Gyrocopter quickly enough. If the fights don't go perfectly, they're going to have a really rough time.
So lanes are kind of shaping up very interestingly here. As far as what we're looking at, we have 2 strength initiators going solo mid. It's going to be Magnus up against the Beastmaster, and both of those are going to have high base damage and a lot of durability, so we're not going to see any kills anytime soon unless there's, like, some amazing skewers coming out. But generally speaking, it's just going to be both of them getting good bottles and looking to gank relatively actively, trying to get that level 6 as soon as possible to be active on the battlefield. Other than that, I think Chen is mostly going to spend his time farming, as the Bounty Hunter is a very survivable hero, and they only have 1 sentry right now. Obviously that means they have a second down on the board, but unless they get, like, an amazing nightmare to set up some Chen creeps, I doubt that Bounty Hunter is going to have too many issues surviving for the time being. But that does mean that if they're not getting kills on the bottom lane, that means Gyrocopter is pretty much just free farming up against this Darkseer, who actually has wandered over to his jungle. He doesn't feel even safe enough to sit up on the top lane, based on the fact that there is a lane ward down there, and they have just a lot of aggression potential coming out of Rubik and Leshrac combined. So, interestingly enough, they're actually missing out on that potential amount of experience. They have 2 junglers right now.
Yeah, if you look on the map, you can go and see, we've got Radiant strategy unfolding, as it were. But, I think the interesting thing here is that they're just basically the way they're doing this I feel is the best, because if you need the lone druid to be really big early on, right, and they want to maybe have like a timing that when Chen hits level 5, right, he picks up his 2 creeps and the lone druid, you know, he'll have maybe like they'll have Basilius up by then, they'll have, you know, a +1 item, they're going to go take a tower, and then there's probably going to be another timing that maybe, you know, lone druid gets his lightning hammer and they get another tower. So if they keep going and like moving it that way, it's not that easy for Dire to defend before, you know, this Magnus gets a couple levels and the Rubik gets a couple levels. On the plus side, you know, Rubik can just play, you know, jungle PvE, and you can tell he's just stacking a huge number of camps. The Gyrocopter is doing pretty well in lane. He'll be fine soloing against a Darkseer. Any sort of range carry does fairly well against Darkseer, and I feel like Gyrocopter, with his like pretty sick animation, can do really, really well. Like, he can get the denies off. Looking at how he's doing right now, he's 5-2. The Darkseer is sitting at nothing. He's 0-0. So I think just between the pulls and the fact that, you know, the pulls and the fact that Leshrac is zoning and Gyrocopter's got a good animation, it's going to be really difficult for this Darkseer to get any experience.
Sure enough, sure enough.
Again, it just comes down to, like, can this push get off? Like, is this Chen going to reap a benefit?
Yeah. That's a good question, but one thing I actually want to highlight on is an interesting aspect of the potential that they could go for like a hyper support Chen that all he does is focus on stacking creeps. He has an Ursa Warrior that he can possess, use that to stack simultaneously with his own body, auto-attacking the creep down, and with that they can actually, with the Darkseer, stack 3 camps simultaneously for him to Ion Shell down once he gets a little bit of experience. So could be focusing a lot on just making sure Beastmaster and Darkseer can both be focusing on getting a lot of gold and a lot of experience through the Ion Shell, through the axes, maybe stack some Ancients along with that, and just really benefit a lot from the potential farm of the jungle and not really focus on ganks until the fight is brought to them, because they have an okay turtle lineup. I mean, the Beastmaster Roar shuts down the opposition with that ultimate, and obviously Bane does pretty much the same thing as long as he doesn't get disabled. And you also have to be very wary of that Lone Druid's Entangle. If that does proc underneath the tower or in a just unfavorable situation, that situation is going to stay at the status quo exactly as it is, and you're going to have a rough time of it.
Yep, it looks like also like Darkseer's just decided he's going to go play Woods Explorer, and I think the person who's going to get hurt the most here is actually the Bane, because he can be played as a hard support, but he does want those levels, you know, fairly badly, and without him, you know, being able to go and pick up experience, he's just not going to be able to be as effective. That Brain Sap's not going to do any serious amount of damage. Nightmare's good, right? And I guess that's what he's basically going to be for. Just kind of making that, just Nightmaring one and maybe trying to get a Fiend's Grip off for a couple seconds. There's enough stuns for him to get interrupted pretty much every single time. But, you know, even making it a 4v5 for a small amount of time, and with the Beastmaster, maybe even like a 3v5, it's enough for them to get the fights favorable.
Sure enough, sure enough. And now, one big thing is that Basharuk is decently controlling the solo mid right now. He is able to get the rune on the bottom lane, mostly because Magnus didn't really go for it. If he had skewered on over, I think he wouldn't have had any trouble at all, because the Beastmaster does not yet have his boar available to slow him down. So in that exchange, I think that if the really, if the Magnus wanted it, he could have gone for it, but right now they were both sitting on empty bottles, and with that regen rune, it's going to shift the momentum much more favorable towards Beastmaster. In the meantime, this Sentry Ward still has about a minute left on it, and they're looking to try to bring Bounty Hunter down underneath it, but he has to be in the right position. He's going to fall back away from it, just barely out of range in that position there. They know he's there, they pop off the Sentry, here comes this, oh my gosh, that is the worst nightmare I've seen. Oh my, that's a problem. But anyways, he is trapped in pretty effectively here, and he's actually going to creep block a little bit, but actually maneuvers right on through, but no, it's going to be the Brain Sap coming out of the Bane to finish the job there. Get him some boots or Flying Courier, a little bit of both, I don't know, but very, very effective nonetheless, even though that was a huge blunder with that Nightmare coming out on the Centaur.
Yeah, I think, you know, that Bounty Hunter got a little bit too excited and just, like, ran straight through. Once he saw the Beastmaster coming, not the Beastmaster, the Lone Druid coming up, he could have just juked back down and, like, hidden on that bot tower. It's just, you know, small things like that. Also, like, you were talking about this Magnus being able to skewer down. I think one of the powerful things about having, you know, someone in woods on your trident, as it were, like, you know, quote-unquote, is that without vision on this bot rune, this Magnus really isn't going to be able to contest any of those runes, because if the Chen is there, you know, with a net, and Magnus skewers down for the rune, he's going to die. So just the fact that, you know, this Chen's staying invisible, and looks like there's a smoke gank mid, so, you know, he's going to be a lot more visible soon. But this Magnus is just being pressured. He can really only go for runes where he already has vision. Nightmare going off, and are we going to see a creep run up? Or
yeah, I don't think there's really too much they can do in that position. He's just outside of tower range. That all they can do is really slow him down with the board. Plenty of HP to spare, so he's not going to have too many issues there. And that's a lot of resources committed by the Bane there, popping the Nightmare, which is 165 mana. Looking at a 338 mana pool, that's nothing to sneeze at there. Along with that, of course, the smoke costing 100 in of itself. And now, during that time period, it looks like the OutPicked team is going and pushing up on the top of the tower, which is the opposite of what TCK is looking for here. So they're going to be able to bring that down really quickly. The Edict helping out a lot along those lines, and with that, Gyrocopter getting the last hit on that, that's a lot of fun.
And a Midas.
It's actually starting off with a Midas, which is really nice, and they're going for a smoke gank of their own.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty huge problem coming forward, because also, like, Midas, you know, it's great. He got a 4-minute Midas, that's crazy, you know, he can go and keep farming a lot. But also, you can just go and Midas the Chen creep, and that's going to be pretty rough in the pushes, because, you know, if you just, like, you know...
Question is if he can invis. He has the invis, he saw them just barely, and they popped out of the smoke underneath his ward, and with that he just had good enough clairvoyance to move to the southeast with the invis rune popped, and that really helped making sure he stayed alive. Very effective rune for that, and that's just, I mean, one major reason why the controlling of the runes is so important, because you can have pretty much a free life if you get a haste rune or invis rune in a situation like that.
Yeah, I think that smoke gank was a little bit, it was a little bit hopeful, because even with smoke, given that it's daytime and that neither the Rubik nor the Leshrac have boots, they're going to have a rough time going and catching on this Beastmaster. What would probably be best for them is just to go and keep, like, you know, playing jungle adventure, stacking all these camps, you know, maybe just continuously stack the big camp and just let Gyrocopter flat cannon it down. Is he going for that? Yeah, he's going for the 1-1-1, you know, max flat cannon. Maybe he'll even be picking up stats after that. So if you go and just, like, you know, massively stack a hard camp, or, you know, ideally you'll be going and stacking these ancients, which the bounty hunter's already doing. But if you get those stacked, the Gyrocopter is just going to go clear them out, and your supports are going to get a ton of experience. These Radiant stacks are also not safe, because the Gyrocopter is going to be able to clear them before the Beastmaster is really going to be able to. And
I love the dire warding of that, keeping control over it, actually centering it up now just for 3 minutes to make sure that they cannot stack it up, and also that to make sure that they don't have vision of their own top cliff there, so they have control over that area. And wow, Beastmaster is in a pretty bad position there. Nice Nightmare preventing Curveboard from being aggressive, and the Roar comes on out to bring down Magnus before he can pop anything, including his ultimate. Now looking to burn down Gagno, and they will be able to do so. A little bit of Boar Slow, nice damage from the Bane with his DD rune, and they're going to turn that into a push. Really nice transition. They got stuff prevented Leshrac mid stun. He was trying to get his splitters off on the Beastmaster before the Roar went out, and instead got nightmared right in the face by Bane. So they were able to chain that up, get a lot of disables coming out from Beastmaster's ultimate and from, of course, the Chen as well as the Bane, and so they're able to get a number of kills out of that and swing the momentum quite a bit in their favor and turn things around quite a bit.
Yeah, let's see if, I don't think they're actually going to be able to get this tower in the end, though. It's just they didn't have, like, you know, the right Chen creeps just to go and tank it down.
Sure.
Wow. Oh, nice.
Big aggression, but with that splitter, it should be able to work it out. There is going to be a Bane, a Nightmare coming down out. It might actually deny the Chen. He's going to put out his W, but get auto-attacked in the end. So there is Bane up in the air and dropped down by the call down. And now it's going to be Gyrocopter who wants to look to push, and they definitely have a much better lineup for that, especially with the Leshrac buyback coming in with the Diabolic Edict up in 5 seconds. They're going to bring this down in no time at all, and that's going to give them a lot of tower gold. And Bounty Hunter is in the action, but look at his experience per minute. He is level 3 right now, sitting at 94 experience per minute. That's just horrendous in my mind.
It's pretty rough lane. I feel like, you know, it was a little bit interesting. I wasn't watching the bot lane too much because, you know, there's so much action happening on the rest of the map, but I'm curious how that happened, because it seemed like the Bane was roaming a lot, so it might have just come down to the bear had a couple lucky entangles, and then, you know, Bounty had to go back. Like, I'm not sure what happened, but, like, I would not be too surprised, because Lone Druid, as a solo hero, you know, he can solo the long lane, he can definitely solo the easy lane, and just having that bear around with the sentries, you know, if it's just constantly whacking on the Bounty Hunter, no matter how high your armor is, and it's, you know, sitting at 9 with no plus armor, it's not going to be enough in the end.
Sure. Sure, sure. And along with that, I think the bounty hunter mostly just was roaming around himself in good position, always kind of going on the side edges of the lane, and kind of unnecessarily, Bane was always on his tail, kind of patrolling around in different locations on the ruins, etc., and always making sure bounty hunter was in an unfavorable position. And unfortunately, he didn't just sit on the lane in a safe position and wasn't able to get much out of it in the end. But here comes Beastmaster coming in to roar down on Leshrac, who's already nightmared up, and they're going to be able to bring him down easily with that brain sap. Looking to telekinesis up on the cliff. I don't know if he'll get it. He will indeed. So Bane is stuck up there until he can tango on out. A couple trees will be eaten in that regard, but they do have the ward up there for the time being. There is an interesting exchange with a Magnus hasting over and skewering across to put damage down on Chen. Will be able to bring him down. The call down not going to be able to finish off Bane as he already escaped from within the trees. In the meantime, Darkseer pushing up on top lane with that rank 4 Iron Shell, doing pretty good there. And now nice Nightmare coming out onto Magnus so that he cannot finish off Beastmaster with that haste rune. He was looking for it, but just didn't close the gap just enough with a nice disable coming out. So they're all going to have to pretty much fall back from this point on, but again, creep skipping, Darkseer putting some work into this tower, already has it down to 2/3 HP and wants to try to bring it down all the way.
Yeah, it looks like we're getting a naked relic, perhaps? No, okay, he picked up both of his boots on the Lone Druid. He had just saved up to 3,800 gold, and I was pretty surprised about that.
Yeah.
But, you know, Lone Druid and the Gyrocopter are keeping up, and I think, you know, this aggression on the Dire side is a little bit ill-placed. I feel like they can just go, and with their advantage, they should just wait until they have RP up. Like, if they have RP up every fight, I don't see how they can lose, but if they're getting picked like this, this is where Bane shines, you know?
Yeah,
in situations where you can just... Yeah. That, and, you know, that gives a, you know, chance for the Chen to go and start pushing. He's not even level 5, so he only has 1 creep, and I'm not sure that's going to be enough, to be honest.
Definitely, and it looks like Beastmaster is rushing up an Aghanim Scepter, which will give them quite a bit of a range of initiation. If they have any vision on the bounty hunter, he's going to get picked off. They can also single out Magnus outside the fight, even with that Blink Dagger. It should be pretty easy to bring him down, and the big thing is having vision, so that Hawk is going to be essential in that regard, but they don't want to stop here. They have so many Ion Shells, they have so much push momentum, and now Spirit Bear is rank 4, like I was saying, you can do so much damage here. Chen creeps the tank up, the Spirit Bear to tank up, and they're just able to deliver so much hurt to this tower. And they do have a reverse polarity, but they don't really have a position to use it. Aberg is cut out on the western end of the fight, and he really just can't join his teammates without risking his own life underneath the Beastmaster Roar and the other chains of long-duration disables that do come on out. But Bane gets the last kill on that tower, not letting it get denied, and that's really important to make sure they keep the gold momentum rolling. Looking at the graph, they are almost 2,500 in advantage right now, and they definitely want to keep that lead, especially up against the bounty hunter. He's still only level 4, and like I said, he in the drafting phase, he cannot counter push whatsoever. He has no potential in that, so he has to focus on ganks, but he can't really capitalize on the ganks until he gets that ultimate and gets the bonus gold from the track on kill. And right now, of course, they're down 4 kills as well. So, all things being said, I'm really surprised TCK was able to pull this lineup out of the lane phase effectively.
Yeah, I don't mean to stress the point too much, but the fact that this Rubik and Leshrac decided to fight really early is costing them a lot, because now they're underleveled in comparison to the other, or rather they're, you know, at parity with the other supports, where really they should be far ahead. And no, they're actually, you know, considerably underleveled, because this Bane's already hit 6, right?
Now big exchange coming on through. It is going to be an ultimate coming on to Magnus, so he's not going to get that polarity off, and that is big call down coming on out, and the Lone Druid's going to drop down as well as the Darkseer. Both of them take falls, so they were able to get a pick on the Magnus before that was all said and done. Splitters will go down to Bane, making sure that he cannot finish off the Leshrac, and that's going to be a number of kills, giving Bounty Hunter almost level 6. He's so close, just needs a little bit more, but nevertheless, that is really, really nice to pick off 3 for 1 in that position. And although I'd really like the initiation, I think Beastmaster stacked his Roar on top of Bane's Fiend's Grip, and with that, they really were gung-ho about disabling that Magnus, and that was a good call in general, but just stacking it up and doubling it over, really not doing them any favors there. And now they have the Aghanim Scepter finished, so all the range of initiation you need to make sure that that Magnus will always be disabled if that's what you're looking for. Might be an opportunity for Rubik to steal it and get that Aghanim's range for himself, but nevertheless, it's going to be just the big deal that they were actually able to get the Roar off and get some big disables out to try to lock someone down. But Gyrocopter, meanwhile, doing so much damage in the last team fight and in hopefully all the other ones, as he'll be farming up very rapidly now with that Midas, with Drum. He's very mobile, and he can pretty much do whatever he wants.
Yeah, I think one thing here is they're basically that the biggest problem with that fight, was more that the lone druid died and he lost his relic money, so he's just refarmed that up. So he's maybe he's at some pretty great rate of farm. I'm gonna go and check it. It's looking he's sitting at what is it now? It's gold per minute at 400 gold per minute. So he's maybe like 3 minutes off of his radiance at this rate. I think the problem is 3 minutes for this lone druid, is going to be like, that's, 400 is pretty reasonable farm, but you're going and farm against this gyrocopter who's completely going to be outpacing you, sitting at, easy 530 gold per minute. If he goes and clears out a big stack, they're not stacking these ancients, and I feel like this is just a mistake. They can go and just capitalize on their advantage here. A lot of the supports are just kind of roaming around smoked, but do you really want to fight into a Phoenix Grip, an Ag Scepter Beastmaster? It's a little bit dangerous, and there's already a gem on Beastmaster. They're kind of, looks like a track, and this is going to be a really easy kill. So, maybe they know what they're doing. But I feel like this is just a little bit more dangerous than they really need to be playing.
Absolutely. I mean, he's been committing a lot to warding in that area specifically and trying to get vision to be aggressive, but like you've been saying, well, most of the game is that they don't really have to force these fights until the polarities are up. Speaking of which, well, polarity popped off on the bear. They want to try to bring that down because it does have that sacred relic and prevents the Lundra from farming quite a bit. Speaking of which, Rosha is going to be locked down, trying to bear true form out of the Shuriken, but it's not going to work out for him. Now, a Berg will be caught off with the Beastmaster Royal Leshrac dying on the western end of Chen, and now with the Iron Shield, they should be able to bring him down too. Now they're going to be looking for the Rubik, but they don't really have any kind of way to close the gap other than this surge, which is going to bring them pretty close, but not close enough. And so with that, I think they actually will, without the penitence, not be able to lock him down. Or they're going to vacuum him up and cast everything one of their spells.
Brain Sap, yeah.
Brain Sap, and with the Test of Faith, they're going to be able to bring him down, no problem. So they did have that vacuum, even if it is lower ranks right now. It's actually at rank 4, so surprisingly Darkseer not doing too bad on experience. And with that, they can do a lot with it.
Yeah, I really like the fact that this Darkseer didn't, put more than 1 point in surge. They really don't need it this fight.
Okay, I see. Bye.
Okay. So I'm pretty happy with that. So if they're going to be able to continue this game, I think they're just going to need to keep doing that. But even though they did well that fight and they got experience on their supports who really desperately need it, they did lose out mid lane. There's Roar on the Beast
pretty much every time that Roar's off cooldown, he's going to want to use it to pick somebody off. And if somebody's caught solo, now that there's a Gem of True Sight on the Beastmaster, there's no escape really. 950 range. There's pretty much, if you're in vision of them, they're going to be able to pick you off like that, and that's pretty big right there. Now they're getting some nice dewarding off through that Gem of True Sight, and with that they can pretty much control the map. Up until this point, OutPicked has been completely dominant in the ward department. They've been warding up in the enemy jungle, controlling the cliffs, centering effectively, controlling the ancients, so on and so forth. But right now, I'm not sure what that nightmare's about, but yeah, right now with
it looks like Gyro is just
they can
with that gem, definitely. Sorry, Gyro's moving for a BKB, and I think this is like actually just kind of throwing because what's this BK gonna really do? Like either they're going to right now, they are just picking off his supports, right? So when he's in a fight, he's not going to feel any use for that because just that roar cooldown's really low. Beastmaster's already hit 11, so that's not a very large cooldown. Then that goes through BKB. Fiend's Grip goes through BKB. Like, he's not going to be doing enough damage to just clear out the team. He's really relying on the fact his cooldown's going to hit multiples, and with a Magnus, that's doable, but it's just what he's worried about, Entangle goes through BKB. Like, I'm just feel like he's just kind of thrown away his gold here.
My thoughts exactly. The second I saw that, I was like, okay, well, you have 2 heroes that hard counter BKB, one that soft counters, and now there's going to be some initiation going off in favor of TCK, but beautiful Magnus ulti coming on in, and just so much damage. There's like 4 Iron Shells on the field, so much. There's going to be Leshrac that does take a fall, but Lone Druid on low life, he's going to be brought down in no time at all. There's some Edict damage helping him out in that regard. The Rubik, he does not bring him down before the Entangle comes out to finish the job there, so they're actually getting a number of kills in return, despite that beautiful initiation. It's going to be Gyrocopter, last man standing, up against Darkseer with that call down. He'll have no problem finishing the job. I'm kind of surprised they didn't pop the call down already. Did he not have it available?
I wasn't really watching that because I was too impressed with the speed that this Leshrac died. It's this Gyro, like, I feel like this is going to be his BKB done. He's popped drums. He's going to get another kill, and the fact that like he survived through all of this,
he tried to destroy it.
Yeah. This is really, really rough. The fact that they've gone and lost, like, the gem, the fact that Gyrocopter lived through that, he's now level 16. Like, this experience advantage is going to become pretty insane because just, When you have a Midas, you're already going to be ahead in levels. When you get a Midas and you live through a fight where you wipe the other team, you're going to be very, very far ahead in levels. And it's just, we're getting to the point where it's going to be really, really dangerous. Now, he's got to finish his BKB, and it's going to be useful in fights. He's got a huge level advantage, and I think he's going to be a dominant force for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
But I got to think, like, if he had a Manta right now, I would be much more afraid of him.
Yeah, if he had a Manta or a Lincoln's, both of those would give him a little more survivability and versatility that would actually allow him to spam his abilities. I mean, I know he only put one into the Black Cannon as well as the homing missile, but still, I mean, just having that call down available and staying mobile in the fights is very, very important there. But in general, he did what he needed to do there. He has that huge level advantage, like you were saying. He was 5 levels ahead of anybody else on the field just a moment ago, and now he's doing pretty well. Nevertheless, and with that, the Flat Cannon delivering so much damage, hitting everybody that Magnus locks down, and just delivering so much damage during that time period, I don't see exactly what TCK can do, other than doing some really, really hard disables. Like we were talking about, the Beastmaster Roar, the Bane Ultimate, the Lone Druid Entangles, all of those go through BKB. You can BKB out of the Entangle, but really, is that going to be very well worth it? So he's really just negating a little bit of magic damage, and really not doing too much more than that. But right now, he's been playing it very effectively, nevertheless, just his playstyle on the back line of things being not the focus, and that allows him to play very glass cannony and just focus on huge amounts of burst damage. And so far, so effective. So we'll see how it works out for them if TCK can group it up to try to focus on disables up against BKB Gyro, or if they're going to just get locked down here. Now they're going to be looking for Roche, which is very interesting. I mean, this could be a big contest here, but right now Dyer doing pretty good as far as wards go, but Rubik caught out. He's only level 8, and with that he will definitely be brought out here. Actually, no, it's going to be Magnus catching all the neutrals. Every single one of Chen's creeps locked down pretty hard, but also other stuff going on. Bounty Hunter picking up the Bane. A lot of damage coming out. Gyrocopter trying to burn down everybody. Pops off his BKB. There goes the Fiend's Grip. Stolen from the Rubik, trying to burn down the Lone Druid. It won't be enough. The Radiance will go on through. Now Horosho is going to try to get away. Nice and Tinkle going on out. He actually got Holy Persuasion back with the Gem of True Sight. Beautiful play between Chen and Lone Druid. Keep him alive and bring down so many heroes. Shut down that Roche attempt and actually got a number of really good picks.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem there is just we saw this Gyrocopter doesn't do enough damage if his call down doesn't hit heroes, right? It caught the Beastmaster, but I think that was about it. And if they're not going, great pick off by that Gondar. Really just, clutch stuff. It doesn't look like they even used skewer or anything. It was just, some caught him out of position. But with this Gyrocopter not doing damage, no one else on their team really is. And between that and kind of the whiff polarity, they're having trouble just taking down these heroes, because since Beastmaster has this axe, he's very tanky. Darkseer just naturally is tanky. He's already picked up a cloak, and Bear's the same way. So yes, they can pick off the Bane and the Chen, but besides that, it's going to be difficult for them to get the rest of the team. And Chen's gone and already finished a mechanism, which considering his pretty terrible early start, it's not a bad timing.
Yeah,
so between Hand of God and Mech, it's just very, very hard for Dyer to go and take down these heroes. If the Darkseer picks up a pipe, which it looks like he's maybe 600 gold away from, less than that. I'm not sure how they're going to kill him without this Gyrocopter getting a huge amount of damage. He's picked up a Yasha now, and that's a good start.
That definitely will help.
Yeah, I just think I've been saying the same thing all game, and this is also just a bit of a playstyle thing, I suppose. But if they just kind of slow down and stop forcing objectives like the Roshan here, they're going to be able to go and farm this Gyro. And if they're picking fights now, with all of their spells, the enemy spells being very relevant right now. Because,
real quick, I like kind of what you've been saying, the fact that they've just been forcing objectives and going into positions they don't need to be in. Look at this Bounty Hunter right here, perfect example. He's jumping in to get some nice tracks off, but what's the best possible situation that could come in? Now his allies are here, but 10 seconds later than him running in. I mean, it's just their general initiation, their positioning, they're going for things that they don't need and really can't capitalize on, and with that, it has cost them a couple of really, really important engagements that don't really work out very well. I'm not sure what the smoke's going on here. They just saw a Bounty Hunter in their own jungle, so I guess they're smoking to push. I don't know, but one way or another, they have run right on by, and with that track, they're actually able to see them underneath the Observer Ward. So Bane has given up, but Gyrocopter is going to get picked up nevertheless. Doesn't even pop his BKB. He knows it's going to be worthless, and look at the damage going into this tower now.
Yep, they're just able to take that. Kudos to serial killers, because they've been taking advantage of every misstep they have, and I feel like I still am a little bit questioning of their lineup here, but they've gone and made it work, right? It might have been suboptimal at the start, but the fact that they picked a lineup that's able to go take advantage of any misplays on the Dire side, and they have gone and taken advantage of those. So if they are able to go and win this game, I'd got to say they've just played, very well. Great play by this Beastmaster. He's really dictated the flow of the game.
And it doesn't hurt that Magnus solo ulti is just Chen neutral creeps.
That's definitely a thing that they shouldn't do. It's just really aggressive play, and maybe a little bit on the over aggressive side. With that, that's also that gank was really bad. It further delayed the manta on this gyrocopter, and Bear has Radiance, so his farm is going to catch up with the gyros. Not really, because we're still looking at 600 gold per minute. It's pretty good on this gyrocopter, considering that he's running around fighting a lot in Safari.
Exactly.
So he's gone and kept up. What's up? What was that?
So pretty much what we're looking at here is they're pretty much just baiting out the Roshan. They're just trying to go and focus on trying to force the enemy into the position, but with these tracks coming on out, they know that they're not all in on it. So it's pretty much Bear versus gigantic, humongous, ugly-ass Revel, but interestingly enough, it is working out so far. But now, on low enough life, Gyrocopter is going to be looking to put some damage in. Not sure what. Beautiful vacuum out of the wall, and now they're going to be doing so much damage, popping off the roar onto Gyrocopter. Want to bring him down as fast as possible before the cooldown comes out. He is going to pop off the cooldown, but he is on low life and just running. He's pretty much just going to be on the run constantly. Same with Bounty Hunter. So it's pretty much everybody's falling back. This isn't even a team fight, it's a massacre, and I'm not sure why they failed to engage upon that position. They knew that the enemy was able to take advantage of the cluster, the conal aspect of walking down this passageway here, and with that, they were able to just bring them down. Big vacuums coming out of Darkseer and just set up way too much damage, way too much disable, and really unfavorable for everybody on OutPicked. I mean, they maybe had wishful thinking for Magnus and his potential to initiate with reverse polarity in turn, but obviously that hasn't panned out that much this game, and obviously not in that fight either.
Yeah, I don't know why they sent the gyrocopter at there first. They do have a Magnus with a blink dagger and a skewer, and they just, walked their gyro into the fog. That's their only damage dealer. And, besides that, then he went and, one thing that the BKB is really good at for is that he can go and pop BKB, so he's not going and spreading wall illusions, right? But it wasn't out in time for that, so the Leshrac, I think, took a pretty significant amount of damage from his own gyro there. Because remember, this Leshrac has nothing. He's got a Bracer and Boots and Wand. Right? If you go and compare that to this Bane, who's got Arcane Boots and Wand, but 3k gold, right? This Bane is sitting on 3k gold, and I guess, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Necro book here, just to go and kind of clear out the game. But, just, there's a pretty big disparity here between, and Mech Hand of God's now level 2 as well. They're going to have a lot of trouble killing this team. I think Dire needs to do something now. I think for the first time, they've always been at a kill disadvantage, but I think for the first time they're seriously behind.
Sure enough. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you have BKB up, you will not take the pure damage from killing a melee Necronomicon minion?
Yes.
Okay.
I want to say yes.
Okay. Well, like you're saying, he could be building a Necro on Bane. He does have 3k gold available, but Beastmaster has picked up a couple of his own, and I would generally agree with that pickup because it's very anti-AoE, so Magnus, Leshrac, or Gyrocopter could easily accidentally do so much damage to themselves, but that BKB actually might work out favorably in this circumstance specifically, where it's going to be a big pure damage nuke of Last Will onto whoever brings it down, but if you have the BKB, you don't really have to worry about that nearly as much. But the bigger deal, I think, is the fact that Lone Druid has that Aegis the Immortal and the Assault Cross pretty much in bank. So right now they have 2 Spirit Bears and 2 standard Lone Druid Bears, so pretty much they're going to have no issue at all with having enough HP to burn down this tower very effectively as they are doing right now. A Flat Cannon has been popped. There's a decent cooldown, 12 seconds remaining, and now the Spirit Bear just keeps on wailing down on the tower. Now going to fall back because it has a lot of movement speed with that phase boots, but generally speaking, just having very little issue in that regard. Having 10. Oh, and now he's going to wholly persuade it back to base and call it back with the return ability, healing it up very effectively. So, knowing that they have kind of a renewable resource with that Bear's health and able to bring down the tower down to 380 HP, very effective indeed. And, yeah, going on through. They do have that pipe, and they have used it in the past couple engagements. That's been generally pretty effective. I mean, call down, like you said, is a very crucial source of damage, and it's, adding up, that's 550 magical damage. That's most of it. Post mitigation is going to be completely nullified by the pipe of insight. So a really good pickup there. and so far they've just been making the fights, despite the fact that OutPicked have farmed up their carry much more effectively.
Yeah, it's just coming down to the fact that like this Lone Druid's items are just a bit more effective rather than this Gyrocopter. Like the Radiance is just doing a ton more damage to the weak supports. And Gyrocopter needs to be in position to go and like fire off the
big
salvos.
Magnus, reverse polarity coming on out. They're going to be only skewering a couple on out, but there is going to be a roar going on through. The Lone Druid on half-life, but he does have that Aegis Immortal still available. Darkseer looking for a wall, not going to get it just yet. Popped off the pipe though, and there is a lot of damage coming on through. It's going to be Gyrocopter is going to be the main focus. He's going to drop down Lone Druid as well, but he's popped the Aegis. Bounty Hunter, actually he's going to survive, but Fade Bolt will nullify that statement right there. So they have actually picked off a couple of heroes on through, and now Gyrocopter has forced his buyback. I think they probably should, just in case they force the buyback, and they can pretty much just control the map, knowing that if they get a pick off on Gyrocopter in the next 4 minutes, that they can easily bring it down. But it seems like they want more. Surprisingly, the Bear has dropped down a little bit of bounty going to the Gyrocopter there with that Flak Cannon, and that Empower increasing his attack damage quite a bit. But the Assault Cuirass is there, and I think they should just take the buyback and leave, in my mind.
Yeah, I think the story of that fight was, Gyro popped BKB and then the entire duration of Fiend's Grip channels. He was just not able to do anything for 5 seconds. So, just, the rest of his team doesn't have the damage to capitalize. And, even though Magnus got a huge ulti off, they just weren't able to kill him in time. Lone Druid has a ton of HP. He's just, walking around at 2100. Now he's got an AC. What's their plan to go and deal with it? So, I think what Dire really needs to do now is just AFK, right? Like, just go and make this Gyrocopter able to go and, like, burn through the Lone Druid. It's going to be very difficult at this point because, Lone Druid has a ton of items now. Like, while Gyrocopter had a huge lead early on, at this point the Lone Druid, is overtaking him in net worth. He's got 3k up, and that's, that's an item. So it's going to be very tricky. Also, we were talking about Bane's gold. He's sitting at 3,600. I don't think it would be terrible for him just to pick up a BKB of his own, just to make sure that he can channel the full duration of his ultimate. Would be very significant. And without the Gyrocopter doing the physical damage, no one else is actually going to be able to kill him. Magnus is going for a mechanism because there's no way that, either Leshrac or the Rubik's going to make one in a timely fashion. So, but I mean, like, it's not their fault here. They're just, like, very behind. So I think this is great itemization by the Magnus. But that means he's not going to be doing right-click damage. So if this Bane just picks up a BKB, I'm not sure how they're going to be able to win a fight anymore, because that 5-second disable is insane.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the best they can hope for, really, obviously, the Magnus Ultimate will counteract that, but mostly I think the Rubik needs to shift his focus from the Beastmaster Roar onto the Fiend's Grip. It is a very, very easy spell to pick off with the fact that it is a channeled ability. So the second you see that Fiend's Grip come out on the Gyrocopter, spell steal it and immediately cast it right back on the Bane. A BKB or not, that will go right on through, but of course, that's kind of null and void if your positioning isn't there and your teammates are kind of scrambling just to survive.
One thing that happened in that fight is actually Rubik's Fade Bolt ended up popping the melee creep, the melee Necronomicon. So he just took the damage to the face and had to stay very far back, so not able to participate as much as he'd like to. He did steal Wild Axes though, so he was spamming that down. I think that's one reason why the towers are still up. With this Rubik Fade Bolt, whatever he can steal, the Magna Shockwave and the Lightning, which actually hasn't been leveled at all, and I gotta say that's a bit of a mistake. But looks like they've gone and they're going on this Lone Druid. Let's see, just gonna be able to walk away.
Yeah. Interesting choice to put the Assault Cross on the Bear now. I mean, attack speed is insanely good on Spare Bear, proccing off those entangles really rapidly, especially with the pseudo-random generation that I believe is now applied to it. But in general, the fact that there is so much armor being put on the Bear might actually limit Lone Druid's survivability. He's been so reliant on it thus far, and I know he gets +6 from the Battle Cry sub-ability that he gets with his ultimate, but nevertheless, that is a lot of survivability that they're putting on the Bear rather than the one who controls him, so that's going to be interesting there. But beautiful Magnus ulti, there is the pipe already popped off, so it's not going to be doing nearly as much, but there comes the call down, but it's going to be interrupted by that Fiend's Grip, and so he is going to be putting a lot of damage in with that entangle. Yeah, Gyrocopter's completely dead, and I could almost imagine this is GG. They've only lost one hero, despite the Magnus initiation there, which was probably like the second or third really good one that we've gotten all game. The pipe was already there, good preemptive action from the Darkseer, and with that they weren't able to capitalize. The single target disables went on to Gyrocopter and were able to burn him down. No buyback, as we highlighted on before, so with the resummoning of this Bear, they're going to be able to take down this Rax no problem. Bane will take a fall to long-range shockwaves, but that is all that she wrote in that regard. So that's going to be 4 total racks out of the 6 down, and it's going to be difficult to come back from this, like, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's just crazy amount of damage. And here we see the bonus of keeping your AC on the bear is just that demolished does a ton of damage to buildings. And they're calling GG, heading out, and, you know, I just gotta say, really interesting draft from Radiant. I don't think it was, you know, the best drafting I've ever seen, but with the lineup they had, they played perfectly. And sometimes, you know, you just pick heroes you're very comfortable with, you know. The Lone Druid, obviously a very capable Lone Druid player, really knew how to farm it, just played well, and all their heroes, all the players knew how to play their heroes perfectly, and sometimes that's just what you got to do as a captain, you know, pick a team that your players can play, and go for it. Dire side, I feel they just they had a huge advantage with that gyrocopter, and they decided to go and be more aggressive than they needed to. I just have to stick to the fact that I think they had it late game if they went and just allowed it to get there. And yeah, gyrocopters, now he's talking about it too. He didn't know about BKB. That was just a little bit rough. And it's very difficult when you're, you know, the only damage dealer to start thinking like, I'm the only damage dealer. If I'm not doing it, you know, maybe I'm going to be less survivable, but, you know, gotta just go and do the deeps and hope for the best.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, good game. We'll play to is it Team Serial Killers, and they're gonna increase their matchmaking. And for those of you guys who do not know about what DotaBro.com is, I'll highlight on that real quick. It is a open league. Pretty much anybody internationally can pick it up, build a team of 5 friends, or, you know, people you don't like but think are awesome in Dota. That works fine too. But anyways, you build that team, you just go to the website, they have an interface for that specifically, and then you queue up against other people. You're giving one of the 2 teams is given a password to create the lobby, the other one just joins it, and from there you play it up, you select that you won or lost, and from there you get this rating. If you're in the top 16 as far as ratings go, which I believe EOS and +4 has only played 6 games, they won all 6, probably against pretty good teams, but nevertheless it is only 6 games played, and they're in the top 16. So if you guys want to even pick one up now, the league will still last for 4 more days. You got some spare time, holiday break, whatever, pick up a team, try it out, and hopefully you guys can get in some awesome games here. It's not only fun, competitive Dota 2, but you can get in the top 16. There is I think they call it Bro Tournament. It's going to be what they're doing there, which is pretty much going to be a $2,000 prize pool tournament sometime in January early on. So check it out, DotaBro.com, and for those of you guys who don't know us, this is Blaze Casting, and
yeah, this is Rainmaker. Cheers, guys.
Thanks for watching, and we'll go on to the next game in just a little bit.